Right, so now that we've created our CSRF using an external package, what I want to do is show you how to do it without an external package. So if you wasn't allowed to use them, for example, then we will create our custom middleware. So in backend, let's create a new file, and you should put in middleware folder actually. So I'll do that. So middleware, because you should have multiple middlewares in a folder somewhere, and then this one will be called CSRF protection.js, like that. I'm just going to bring in my code and then I'll explain what's going on because it's easier. So again, we have our CSRF middleware, and this is the function which contains quite a lot of information, and then we export it. So in the function, what we do, we have a token secret. Again, this should be very secret. It should be your own secret key, whatever it is you use. But again, this should be in an env file as well. You should hash it and so on. So that's the token secret. That's the first thing we need. Then we have a utility function to create a unique CSRF token. So in our case, we're using crypto, the package we've imported at the top, and then we are generating 32 hex over here. So generate a random 32 byte token. Second function is we need to hash the CSRF token as well. So again, we do the function to hash it. So these ones are important. We've got our secret here. We're hashing it over here. And then this is where we do our methods. So the first one is the get request. So let's do the get request first of all. So let me just bring this down. And then essentially, if a request method is get, which is quite simple, so we check the request method, then we create a CSRF token, which is the function above. We hash the token, so hash it there, and then we store the hash in a secure HTTP only cookie. So we can't access this by JavaScript. So this will be in set in a cookie. So request.cookie, we name it CSRF token in our side. So this is on the server. Again, we pass in our hashed token, which we have done over here, and then some options. So again, we need to set it to HTTP only true because that way we are on HTTPS. So that's very important. Same site of strict because this again prevents cross-site cookie usage. So we need that set as obviously strict, and then secure. Obviously, it should be true if it's in production. So that's just a no-brainer. We have to have HTTP only true and secure true as well, or just do true here. But again, in development, it's up to you how you want to do that. So again, expose the raw CSRF token in a non-HTTP cookie for front-end access. So again, what we are doing is pretty much the same, but we are again setting this for the client over here. And then the next is res request and next. So go on to the next thing. So again, there might be a get request and some other request as well. So go on to the next. Again, second part is we have post, put, and delete requests. So other methods that we have. So in our case, we was using the submit form method, which was a post request. So this is how we would handle it. So again, now that we've basically done this over here, we pass this information to the client in our use effect, which we have done in previously, and then we get access to the headers and we get access to the XCSRF token, which is the token from the client request, and then we get the one from the server as well. Then we just validate, obviously, if there's no client or server CSRF token, then we return 403 missing CSRF token, which is basically our guard clause to protect us. And then finally, over here, we validate the CSRF token. So in our case, CSRF token client hash, which is basically hashing this token, which we have defined in part 2. So this one. And then what we want to do is make sure that, again, this has to be the same from the server. So again, what we are doing is we are setting the token in the server, then passing that down into the client as we have done previously. And then they both have to be the same thing, basically. So if they are not the same thing, then again, return a 403. So we're handling that as well. And then we return next. And then again, next again. So this is just basically the middleware that we have in place. So then obviously in our server now, so at the minute we have CSRF here. But what we can also do is we can do const CSRF middleware. I'll call it middleware like this. And then what you want to do is you can set it over here. So then what we are doing is we are using that, but we also need to pass the cookies before. So again, we need the cookies in both middlewares. So this is the one from CSRF package like this. And then this one is from, and actually these are from CSRF middleware like that. So this is our custom. And again, I should have renamed them to make sure they make more sense. So now we've done that, what we do in here in our first endpoint, so the get part of it. So in here, we have the get. So this method over here, we essentially want to pass in the get to the client. So again, you can paste this in, which again sends the CSRF token to the client from the custom middleware. And I'll do O, use the package below. So now what we are doing is we are using the CSRF token from the cookies, so request.cookies with the index of CSRF token client. So that is request.cookies CSRF token client, this one over here. And then that should handle the get method. So that is the get part. And then the post is basically it's all done in the client, which we already have in place. So in our client in handle form, we pass in the headers, and then we also have with credential true. So then the server will do all of that middleware checking for you. So in our case, this CSRF protection we've defined here, what we also want to do is we can instead do this one over here. So copy this and put this in place of the middleware. So let's just go into the CSRF protection one, which is our middleware here. And what happens is it will do the post check for us in the server. So again, we check that the token from the client and the server is the same. If they are the same, then obviously it should be fine. Then we can go on to our next function. So first of all, we check they both have a value. Then we check they are the same. If they're not the same on either of them, then we return the 403 response. So that is how you would build your own custom middleware as well. So what I'm going to be doing next is I'm going to install a Next.js application, and then we want to see if they have included the CSRF protection in their framework. So we'll do that next.